Stop everything you're doing right now, because what I'm about to tell you is going to completely flip everything you thought you knew about texting men. And I mean everything. Right now, there's a woman who's driving a man absolutely insane. He's checking his phone every 5 minutes. He's reading her messages, trying to decode what she really means. He's showing his friends their conversation, asking, what do you think she's trying to say? And here's the part that's going to shock you. She's barely even texting him back. Meanwhile, you're over here crafting the perfect message, making sure it's flirty but not too flirty, interested but not too interested, giving him compliments, asking about his day, sending good morning texts, and he's giving you one-word replies and leaving you on read. Here's the brutal truth nobody wants to admit. Everything you've been taught about texting men is making him less attracted to you. Every sweet message, every thinking of you. Text. Every time you initiate the conversation first, it's killing his desire, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're speaking a language his brain doesn't respond to. The women who have men absolutely obsessed with them, they're using 5 specific words that trigger something primitive in the male brain. These aren't romantic words. They're not sweet. They sound almost dangerous. And that's exactly why they work. When I reveal what these 5 words are, you're going to think I've lost my mind. You're going to say, that's it. That's the secret. But here's what I need you to understand. It's not about the words themselves. It's about the psychological trigger they activate in his brain that makes him feel like he's chasing something he can't quite catch. I've watched this happen hundreds of times. A woman learns these 5 words, uses them once, just once, and suddenly the man who was barely responding is double texting her, making plans and acting completely different. And the crazy part, he has no idea why he's suddenly so interested. So if you've ever sent a heartfelt text and gotten back something cold, if you're tired of always being the one who initiates, if you're done wondering why he seems less interested the more you show you care, then don't click away. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to make him chase you using nothing but your phone and 5 words. THPSYCHORBITM, the relatable pain point. It's 11 p.m. You're staring at your phone 3 hours ago. You sent him something sweet, maybe about your last date, maybe something funny, maybe just asking about his day. Read receipt 2 hours ago. Response, nothing. Now you're spiraling. Did I say something wrong? Was I too eager? Is he talking to someone else? Did I completely misread this? You analyze every word from your last conversation. He seems so into you in person, but over text, he's cold, distant, like you're bothering him. So you wait. You don't double text because that's desperate. You play it cool. Next day, sorry was busy, or aha to your entire paragraph. Here's what's killing you. You know you're a catch. You're funny, interesting, put together. So why are you always the one putting in more effort? Why do you care more than he does? And you've seen this pattern before. It always starts great, constant texting, plans, genuine interest. Then somewhere the energy shifts. You initiate more. He responds less, and you're left wondering where it went wrong. You're not imagining this. It's real, and it's happening because nobody taught you how a man's brain actually works. The promise and curiosity spike. What if getting him to obsessively text you, plan dates, and chase your attention has nothing to do with being prettier, funnier, or more interesting? What if the difference between the woman he can't stop thinking about and the woman he takes for granted comes down to 5 specific words? Sounds too simple, right? When I tell you what they are, you'll think I'm crazy. But here's the truth. These words don't work because of what they mean. They work because of what they trigger in his brain. The same mechanism that makes him obsess over fantasy football, replay video game moments, or fixate on challenges he hasn't conquered. When you use these 5 words correctly, you stop being the comfortable, predictable woman he texts when bored. You become the woman he can't figure out, the one who makes his pulse quicken when your name pops up, the one he thinks about when he should be focused on something else. Best part, you don't have to change who you are. You don't have to play hard to get or pretend not to care. You just need to understand his brain is wired differently. And when you speak his emotional language, everything changes. These 5 words are that language. The authority establishing, let me tell you about Sarah. 2 months seeing a guy in person, amazing chemistry, deep conversations, laughter. Over text, ghost. 1-word responses, always between messages, always her initiating. She showed me their text. Every message is sweet, thoughtful, and completely predictable. No tension, no mystery. No reason for his brain to stay engaged. I taught her one word, just one. 2 days later, WTDUOT, complete flip. He was double texting, asking questions, making concrete plans. Different person. Her exact words, I didn't change. I'm still me. I just said one thing differently, and a switch flipped in his brain. That's exactly what happened. She stopped trying to create attraction by being sweet and available, and instead activated the mechanism that drives male desire. I've watched this pattern repeat hundreds of times. Women losing him, suddenly have him chasing. Women always initiating, suddenly have him texting first. Women taken for granted, suddenly treated like they're the most interesting person in his world. New relationships, stale marriages, long-term boyfriends. The dynamic completely flips from chasing to being chased. This isn't theory. This is proven psychology transforming real women's dating lives. The shift statement before I reveal these words, understand this, you're not broken. Wanting connection, showing you care, being available, those instincts come from a good place. The problem, you've been trying to create attraction the way why you experience it. When someone's warm, available, complimentary, interested, that makes you like them more, right? But his brain doesn't work that way. Male and female brains are wired differently for attraction and pursuit. What makes you feel safe and connected makes him feel bored and complacent. We're not changing you. We're teaching you to speak his emotional language. If someone only spoke Spanish, you wouldn't keep speaking English louder. You'd learn Spanish. These 5 words are you learning to communicate in a way his brain is designed to receive and respond to. You're still being yourself, still authentic, just in a language he actually understands. When you make that shift, when you stop trying to love him the way you want to be loved and start engaging him the way his brain is designed, everything changes. The texting anxiety disappears. The wondering where you stand disappears. The feeling like you're always chasing disappears, because suddenly he's chasing you. More ODIFI1 MOIBE, the first word that sounds too simple to work, ready for the first word. When I tell you, you'll think I'm insane. The first word is maybe, I know. That's it. That's the big secret. But the power isn't in how it sounds. It's in what it does to his brain chemistry. When you say maybe, you do something most women never do. You leave him hanging. You create an open loop. A question his brain cannot resolve on its own. And that unresolved question lives in his mind rent-free until he gets an answer. Remember the last TV cliffhanger you watched? Did you forget about it and move on? Or did you spend the next week wondering what happens, talking about it, Googling theories? That's what an open loop does to the human brain, creates tension that demands resolution. Maybe is the simplest, most elegant way to create that exact tension about we or you. Why maybe hijacks his brain hears what happens when you say maybe instead of yes or no. When you give a definitive answer, his brain experiences cognitive closure. Question answered. Uncertainty resolved, brain files it away and moves on. So when he texts, want to grab drinks Friday, and you respond, yes, I'd love to, his brain goes, question asked, answer received, closure achieved, move on. The dopamine spike lasts maybe 30 seconds, then it's gone. And so is his mental investment in you. But when you respond, maybe Friday could work, everything changes. His brain immediately, wait, maybe. What does maybe mean? Is that yes or no? What would make it a definite yes? Does she have other plans? Is she not sure about me? What do I need to do to turn this maybe into yes? See what happened. Instead of closure, you created a puzzle, and his brain, especially the male brain wired for problem solving, cannot resist trying to solve it. This is uncertainty in action. Research shows uncertain rewards trigger more dopamine than guaranteed rewards. When rats could press a lever and get food every time, they quickly lost interest. But when food only appeared sometimes unpredictably, they became obsessed, pressed constantly, couldn't stop. Brains flooded with dopamine from anticipation. When you're predictable and definitive, you're the guaranteed lever. He gets what he expects every time, stays calm and unengaged. But when you introduce maybe, when you become unpredictable, his brain shifts to high alert, starts obsessively trying to figure out the pattern, solve the puzzle, get that uncertain reward. Beautiful part. He has no idea this is happening. It's not conscious. He doesn't think she said maybe, therefore I should pursue harder. His brain just automatically shifts into pursuit mode. This is why maybe is more powerful than playing completely hard to get or saying no. No provides closure, unwanted closure, but closure, his brain moves on. Maybe provides hope mixed with uncertainty, and that combination is psychological dynamite. So when he texts, want to grab drinks Friday, and you respond, yes, I'd love to, his brain goes, question asked, answer received, closure achieved, move on. The dopamine spike from getting what he wanted lasts maybe 30 seconds. then it's gone. And so is his mental investment in you, at least until the next time he needs something resolved. But when you respond with maybe Friday could work, everything changes. His brain immediately goes, wait, maybe. What does maybe mean? Is that a yes or a no? What would make it a definite yes? Does she have other plans? Is she not sure about me? What do I need to do to turn this maybe into a yes? See what just happened. Instead of closure, you created a puzzle, and his brain, especially the male brain, which is wired for problem solving, cannot resist trying to solve that puzzle. This is the power of uncertainty in action. Research in behavioral psychology shows that uncertain rewards trigger more dopamine than guaranteed rewards. When rats in a study could press a lever and get food every single time, they quickly lost interest. But when the food only appeared sometimes unpredictably, they became obsessed with that lever. They'd press it constantly, unable to stop, because their brains were flooded with dopamine from the anticipation. You are not a rat, and he is not a rat, but your brains work the same way when it comes to this reward anticipation mechanism. When you're predictable and definitive in your responses, you're the guaranteed lever. He gets what he expects every time, and his brain stays calm and unengaged. But when you introduce, maybe when you become the unpredictable lever, his brain shifts into high alert. It starts obsessively trying to figure out the pattern to solve the puzzle to get that uncertain reward. And here's the beautiful part. He has no idea this is happening. It's not a conscious decision. He doesn't think, she said, maybe, therefore I should pursue harder. His brain just automatically shifts into pursuit mode because that's what brains do when faced with desirable uncertainty. This is why maybe is so much more powerful than playing completely hard to get or saying no. No provides closure, unwanted closure, but closure nonetheless. His brain can move on. Maybe provides hope mixed with uncertainty. And that combination is psychological dynamite. But you can't just throw maybe into every text. There's an art to using it effectively. And when you do it wrong, it can backfire completely. So let me show you exactly how to deploy this word in a way that makes him obsess instead of just confusing him. Pas tiemples tit mokale meji hidi maybe. Formula in action, example 110. When he asks you out, wrong, yes, I'd love to see you Friday. What time works for you? Right, maybe Friday could work. I'll check my schedule. First one, complete certainty. Brain disengaged. Second one, he's wondering, does she have other plans? What would make her move things around? He's mentally invested in turning that maybe into hoyes. An example, 2i. After a great date, wrong. I had such an amazing time tonight. Can't wait to do it again. Right, maybe tonight was better than I expected. No mystery versus his brain looping for hours. What was she expecting? What changed her mind? Is she still not sure? Example 3e. When he asked about your day, wrong. My day was good. Went to work, hit the gym, had dinner with a friend. Right, maybe the best part of my day hasn't happened yet. Forgettable information versus engaging mystery. What's the best part? Is she hinting at him? Should he ask? Example 4e. When he sends a compliment, oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Right. Maybe you're just trying to get on my good side. Grateful but forgettable versus playful with an implication. He needs to work for your good side. Example, fafi. When you're genuinely unsure, wrong. I'm not sure if I can make it because I might have to work late, but I really want to see you, so I'll try my best. Right, maybe. Depends on how work goes. Over-explaining kills tension. The second leaves space and lets him sit with uncertainty. When to use, maybe. Saying when it backfires, works when. There's established connection, energy feels flat and needs resetting. He's asking about plans or availability. You're genuinely unsure, backfires when you use it in every text. He's being vulnerable or serious. He's already chasing hard. It sounds passive, aggressive. Golden rule, maybe, is salt in cooking. Right amount enhances everything. Too much ruins the dish. What happens after you hit send phase 1 to initial confusion? He rereads your text. Phase 20 problem solving activates. Should I suggest a different day? What would make her available? Phase 30 mental investment. Hours later, your text randomly pops into his head. You're taking up mental real estate. Phase 40 increased investment. Next time he texts, his energy shifts. More engaged, more forward, brain in pursuit mode. What you do next, don't immediately give complete certainty. If he follows up about Friday, yeah, I can make Friday work. Where were you thinking? You've closed one loop but created a new one. Balance is key. You're maintaining mystery that keeps dopamine flowing. Or DFUNless as the condition that activates his problem solver brain unless doesn't just create uncertainty. It creates a challenge with a pathway. Compare these, I probably can't make it tonight versus I probably can't make it tonight unless something changes. First closed door, second door slightly open. brain figuring out how to push it further. Unless activates the scarcity principle while giving him agency. Something isn't available, but it could be under the right conditions. His brain shifts to problem solving. What are those conditions? Can I create them? What do I need to do? Men are hardwired to solve problems. Unless presents a puzzle with a solution his brain cannot resist. Real text examples. Example, when in lazy plans, he want to hang out sometime. Say, maybe, unless hangout is code for sitting on your couch watching Netflix. You've called out the lazy invitation and set standards. Now he has to suggest something with actual effort. Example, Tuanan unsure about him. Hey, so are we doing this or what? Say, I don't usually rush into things unless I'm really sure. Still figuring that out. Boundary set. Mystery maintained. Ball in his court to demonstrate value. Example, 30, hot and cold behavior. Hey, stranger. After days of silences, say, I don't usually respond to strangers unless they introduce themselves properly. A playful but firm. You're calling out inconsistency and making him work to re-engage. Example 4, a better date planning. He want to grab drinks Tuesday. Say, I could be convinced unless there's somewhere better than drinks we could go. You're inviting him to put more thought in and impress you. Combining maybe and unless for maximum impact. When combined, you create compound effect. Hey, are you coming to party Friday?
You.
Maybe I'll stop by unless I get a better offer. Uncertainty plus playful challenge. His brain, should I convince her? Am I the better offer? Should I suggest we go together? Another, hey, miss you. When can I see you? That maybe this week could work, unless you're just saying that and don't actually have time to plan something. You've acknowledged interest, but called out potential flackiness. Words aren't enough. He needs action. The pattern, multiple layers of engagement. His brain processing several questions simultaneously. Mental investment creates emotional investment. Important, don't do this every text. Power comes from contrast. Most text should be normal and direct. Strategic combos create spikes in the pattern. Nuhat ace poems tells you abus NTFL using unless strategically reveals exactly how interested he is. Truly interested, he'll engage with the condition. Ask clarifying questions. Try to meet your standard. Put in effort. You say, I'm pretty busy unless something really interesting comes up. Genuinely interested guy. What counts as really interesting to you? Or, well, I was thinking we could with an actual thoughtful proposal, not invested guy. Okay. Let me know if you free up, waits for you to do the work. The power, you're filtering for effort without asking, are you actually interested or just bored? Guys who rise to the challenge show they're willing to work for you. Guys who don't show they want easy and convenient, you're neither. You're in control. You're creating opportunities for him to demonstrate interest. Then making decisions based on what he shows you. He consistently meets your conditions. He values you. He doesn't invest your energy elsewhere. Either way, you win. Bawadi Fate 3 BT, the playful challenge that triggers his competitive instinct. Why men cannot resist a dare. The third word taps into masculine psychology, the need to prove himself. The word is bet, not just slang. A psychological trigger that activates the competitive prove it side of the male brain. I bet you is issuing a challenge. Men are biologically wired to respond. From boyhood competitions to adult careers and sports, the male brain sees challenges and wants to overcome them. Men get a dopamine hit from successfully meeting challenges and proving themselves capable. You're not challenging him randomly. You're challenging him in relation to why are you. I doubt you can do this thing that would make me happy, impressed, or interested. His brain, oh, really? Watch me. The beauty, bet, feels playful and flirty, not serious or demanding. Not, you need to prove yourself, but I bet you can't. Completely different energy. One feels like pressure. The other feels like a game. Men love games they think they can win. The psychology of playful doubt. Men respond better to challenges than requests. Direct request feels like obligation. Challenge implying he probably can't. He wants to do it just to prove you wrong. Compare, can you please text me more often? And versus, I bet you forget about me the second we stop texting. First, makes him feel like he's failing your expectations. Second, makes him want to prove he does think about you. Same outcome. Completely different psychological pathway. This is fractance motivation. People are motivated to do something specifically because someone suggested they couldn't or wouldn't. Like when someone says, you probably won't like this movie, and suddenly you want to watch it just to prove them wrong. The key, the doubt must be playful, not hostile. I bet you're talking to other girls right now. Tau accusatory and insecure. I bet you're terrible at planning romantic dates. The playful challenge I first creates defensiveness. Second, creates motivation to prove romantic capabilities. Energy behind the word matters. Playful, teasing energy reads as flirty. Bitter or suspicious energy reads as passive-aggressive. Use bet from confidence and playfulness. You're fun, don't take everything seriously, can challenge while staying warm. Most women are either too serious and demanding or too passive and accommodating. The woman who playfully challenges while maintaining warmth stands out. Text examples that make him want to prove himself. Example, one saying want him to initiate more. Wrong. You never text me first anymore. Right. I bet you can't go a whole day without me texting you first. Sounds like a fun challenge. His brain wants to prove he can initiate. Example 2A, want better date planning. Wrong. I wish you'd plan more creative dates. Right. I bet you take all your dates to the same 3 places. Playfully calls out predictability. He wants to prove he's not boring and can plan something unique. Example 3E, when he's being cocky, hey, I'm probably the best thing that's happened to you all week.
Yeah,
I bet you say that to every girl who gives you attention. Deflates ego playfully while challenging him to prove you're different. He has to demonstrate that through actions. Example 4 keep things playful. He sends a selfie. I bet you staged that photo 5 times before sending it. A teasing that invites him to defend himself. Keeps conversation playful. Example 5, uncertain about his feelings. Wrong. Do you actually like me or are you just bored? Right. I bet I'm not even in your top 3 favorite people to text. A playful challenge instead of insecure question. If he likes you, he'll immediately correct this assumption. Creating immediate investment. I bet you can't make me laugh right now, or I bet you don't remember what I told you about my favorite food. Meaning challenges requiring immediate engagement. First makes him try to be funny. Second tests if he's paying attention. The pattern, you're never demanding anything, just implying doubt about his capabilities and letting competitive instinct do the rest. Knowing the difference between playful and mean, fine line between playful teasing and being mean. The difference, tone playful has lightness. You're smiling as you type. Mean has an edge, real criticism behind it. I bet you're not even thinking about me. Can be playful flirting or anxious accusation. Energy matters, context fun, flirty conversation. Bet reads as playful continuation out of nowhere or when he's vulnerable. Reads as dismissive, punching up, vest down, punching up, challenging him on things he's confident or cocky about. I bet you think you're so smooth when he's confidently flirting. Works great. Punching down, challenging insecurities. I bet you're not over your ex, or I bet you can't afford nice restaurants. Cruel, not playful. Simple rule use. Bet for fun challenges around light-hearted things, not to attack real insecurities or during serious conversations. He's opening up vulnerably. Time for empathy and directness. He's playful and confident. Perfect for bet that keeps energy fun and competitive. Trust your instinct. If it feels mean when you type it, it probably is. If it makes you smile imagining he's amused, motivated, you're in the right zone. Kambaden AL Tai Waters for Tai Pai MPCT. When you combine maybe homeless and bet in the same text, you create a perfect storm of psychological triggers. Uncertainty, conditional challenge, and competitive motivation all at once. He asks, so when am I seeing you again? Maybe this weekend, unless you're too busy. I bet you already have plans anyway. What you just did, maybe. Uncertainty about whether it's happening, unless you're too busy. Condition that subtly implies he might not be prioritizing you. I bet you already have plans anyway. To challenge to prove he's making you a priority. His brain processes 3 separate psychological hooks simultaneously. Motivated to confirm that maybe. Meet the unless condition and prove the bet wrong. Another example, hey, I'm the best texter. You've got you. Maybe you're in the top 5 unless someone more interesting texts me later. I bet you can't even remember what we talked about yesterday. A playful doubt, conditional value, and memory challenge. He's motivated to prove he's number 1. Ensure you don't find someone more interesting and demonstrate he pays attention. Key, don't do this constantly. Save triple combinations for when you want to spike his interest or when energy feels too comfortable. Used strategically, this combination is almost impossible for his brain to ignore. Wardify 4, warned the mind, Lu that makes him think about your thoughts, how to make him obsess over what you're thinking. The 4th word is different. It doesn't create external challenge. It creates internal curiosity about your inner world. The word is wonder. When you say, I wonder, you make him aware that you have thoughts and perceptions about him that he doesn't have access to. Most women eagerly reassure men and make their feelings crystal clear. They eliminate all mystery, explain exactly how they feel, what they're thinking, where things stand. But I wonder, pulls back the curtain just slightly, shows him there's a whole landscape of thoughts in your mind he knows nothing about. The human brain cannot resist wanting to know what other people are thinking about them. This creates a recursive loop. He's thinking about you thinking about him. That loop keeps running in his mind, creating constant low-level obsession. Example, I wonder what you're really thinking right now. That single sentence does several things. Implies what he's saying might not match what he's actually thinking, shows you're perceptive enough to notice discrepancies, makes him hyper-aware you're analyzing him. Suddenly, he's not having a casual conversation. He's wondering what you've picked up on, what you've noticed, what conclusions you're drawing. You've made yourself the observer, and the observer has power the observed doesn't. The power of revealing you have hidden thoughts. Wonder reveals you have an inner world he doesn't fully understand without revealing what it contains. Most women make one of two mistakes: hide all thoughts and seem cold, or overshare everything and have zero mystery. Wonder is the perfect middle ground. You're showing you have complex thoughts and observations about him, the situation, what's happening between you, but you're not spelling out exactly what those thoughts are. This communicates depth and complexity, shows you're not passively receiving his attention. You're actively processing, observing, forming your own perceptions. Makes me wonder why you texted me right now. You're thinking about his motivations, his patterns, his psychology, not just grateful for his attention. You're analyzing whether it's genuine and what's driving it. That level of perceptiveness is both attractive and slightly intimidating. Tells him he can't go through the motions with you. You're paying attention, noticing things, drawing conclusions. Beautiful part, even if you're not actually doing deep analysis, the fact that you might be is enough to change his behavior. If he thinks you're wondering about his motivations, he becomes more intentional. If he thinks you're analyzing his interest level, he demonstrates more effort. If he thinks you're noticing patterns, he becomes more consistent. You've made him self-conscious in the best way. Not insecure, but more thoughtful and deliberate about how he shows up. Another powerful use to create curiosity about your own feelings. I wonder if I'm reading this situation right. I wonder what I actually think about all this. Makes me wonder if this is what I'm really looking for. Each statement shows you're not a sure thing. Still evaluating, still deciding. That uncertainty about where he stands keeps his brain engaged. Remember, the male brain is motivated by pursuit and challenge. The moment he thinks he's completely figured you out and secured your interest, dopamine drops and investment decreases. But when you're still wondering, still thinking, still forming conclusions, he knows he hasn't fully won yet. And that keeps him working for it. Creating the recursive thinking loop. Let's talk about what happens in his brain when you use wonder effectively. When you make a statement about wondering something about him, you create what's called a recursive loop. This is when thinking about something triggers more thinking about that thing, which triggers even more thinking, and so on. Here's how it works, you texty. I wonder if you're always this confident or if it's just an act. His immediate thought, wait, does she think I'm acting? Can she tell when I'm not confident? What has she noticed? Then, why is she analyzing my confidence level? Is she into confident guys? Should I tone it down or lean into it? Then, what else has she noticed about me? What other conclusions is she drawing? See how one statement spiraled into multiple layers of thinking. That's the recursive loop in action. And here's the key. Each time he cycles through these thoughts, he's thinking about you. You're the one doing the wondering. You're the one with perceptions he doesn't have access to. You're the one whose opinion suddenly matters a lot. This is completely different from asking direct questions like, are you always this confident? A direct question gets a direct answer and the loop closes. But I wonder leaves it open. He can choose to address it or not. But either way, the wondering continues in his mind. Another example, I wonder if you remember that thing I told you last week. Now he's running through his memory, trying to figure out what thing you're referring to. Did he forget something important? Is this a test? What were you talking about last week? Even if he does remember, he's wondering why you're bringing it up now. What's the significance? What are you trying to figure out about him? You've created mental work for him. And when someone's brain is working to understand you, they're invested in you. The beauty of the recursive loop is that it's self-sustaining. You don't have to keep feeding it. One well-placed "I wonder" can keep him thinking for hours or even days because his brain keeps generating new questions and possibilities. And all of that mental activity is centered on you and your perception of him, which means you're occupying his mind even when you're not actively communicating. That's powerful. Strategic wonder text examples here are specific ways to use wonder that create maximum impact. Example 1, when he's being predictable, he sends his usual good morning text. Try, I wonder why you always text me at exactly 8 a.m. What this does, you've noticed a pattern which shows you're paying attention. And you're questioning the motivation behind it. Is it genuine interest or just habit? Now he has to think about his own motivations. Example 2, when you want to create depth after a good date or conversation, try, I wonder what you're not telling me about yourself. What this does, you've implied there's more to him than what he's shown. This invites him to reveal deeper layers and also shows that you're interested in substance, not just surface level interaction. Example 3, when he says something interesting, he makes a comment or reveals something small, try, that makes me wonder what else I don't know about you. What this does, you've turned one small revelation into a door to deeper conversation. You're showing interest in discovering more while maintaining the frame that there are still mysteries to uncover. Example 4, when you want to test his intentions, he's been very attentive lately, try, I wonder what changed. You seem different lately. What this does, you're making him aware that you notice shifts in his behavior. This makes him more conscious of his actions and often prompts him to explain his increased interest, which gives you valuable information. Example 5, creating self-doubt playfully after he makes a bold claim or confident statement, try, I wonder if you actually believe that, or if you're just trying to impress me. What this does, you're playfully questioning his authenticity, which makes him want to prove his genuineness. It also shows you're not easily impressed by words alone. Example 6, the open-ended wonder try, I wonder, and then change the subject or don't finish the thought. What this does, this is advanced level. You've indicated you're thinking something but not revealing what. His brain will obsess over finishing that sentence. What are you wondering about the situation? He has to ask, or it will drive him crazy. The key with all of these is that you're revealing you're thinking about him, but not revealing exactly what you're thinking. That gap is where the obsession grows. What makes wonder different from the other words? Before we move to the fifth and final word, let's talk about what makes wonder unique in your toolkit. Maybe creates uncertainty about outcomes. Unless creates conditional challenges. Bet creates competitive motivation. But wonder creates something different, introspection. When you use the first 3 words, you're engaging with external circumstances and his actions. When you use wonder, you're bringing attention to internal thoughts and perceptions. This is important because it adds psychological depth to your communication. You're not just a woman who's managing logistics or being playfully challenging. You're a woman who's genuinely thinking, observing, and forming complex perceptions. And depth is attractive, especially to men who are looking for more than just surface level interaction. Wonder also positions you as the one with insight and perception. You're not the one being analyzed and pursued. You're doing some analyzing of your own. This creates a more balanced dynamic where he's aware that you're evaluating him just as much as he's evaluating you. That balance is healthy and attractive. It prevents you from seeming too eager or too available while also showing genuine interest and engagement. Now you're ready for the 5th word. This one ties everything together and gives you protection while still showing interest. Keomana Mystikes and Haudu Tau Avioi THM. The 5 ways women kill attraction while using these words. Mistake 1, overusing the words and they become predictable. The biggest mistake I see women make after learning these 5 words is using them in every single text. And when you do that, you completely destroy their power. Remember, these words work because of contrast. They stand out against your normal communication pattern. When maybe, unless wonder and might become your default way of texting, they stop being intriguing and start being annoying. Think about it like this. If every single response you give contains one of these words, he's going to notice the pattern. And the moment he recognizes the pattern, the mystery disappears. He realizes you're using a strategy and suddenly it stops working on his subconscious brain. The power of these words is that they feel natural and spontaneous. They feel like genuine expressions of your personality, not like techniques you learn from a video. So here's the rule. For every text that contains one of these strategic words, you should have at least 3 or 4 texts that are just normal, direct, and clear. When he asks how your day was, most of the time just tell him. When he suggests plans, most of the time just say yes or no based on your actual availability. When he sends you something funny, just laugh and respond naturally. Save these 5 words for specific situations. Use maybe when you genuinely want to create some intrigue about your availability. Use or less when you want to set a condition or standard. Use bet when the conversation is playful and you want to create a fun challenge. Use wonder when you want to show you're thinking deeper about something. Use might when you want to express possibility without commitment. But don't force them into every conversation. The moment it becomes predictable, it becomes powerless. Your goal is to be mostly direct and clear with occasional moments of strategic mystery and challenge. That balance is what keeps him engaged without making him feel like you're playing games. Mistake 2, using them during serious or emotional conversations. These 5 words are tools for creating attraction, intrigue, and playful tension. They are not appropriate for every type of conversation. If he's opening up about something vulnerable, that is not the time to respond with, "I wonder if you really mean that." That's the time to be emotionally present and direct. If you're having a serious conversation about where the relationship is going, that is not the time to say, "Maybe I see a future with you unless something changes." That's the time to be honest about your feelings. If he's dealing with something difficult in his life and reaching out for support, that is not the time to use bet. To create a playful challenge, that's the time to show empathy and care. These words work in flirty, playful, early stage or maintenance stage conversations. They work when you're texting about plans, engaging in banter, or navigating the dance of attraction. They do not work when real emotional stakes are on the table. Using them in the wrong context doesn't just make them ineffective. It makes you seem emotionally unavailable, game, playing, or incapable of depth. Men need to know that you can be playful and challenging, but also that you can be real and present when it matters. If you're always in strategic mode, never letting your guard down, never being direct about real feelings, he'll eventually pull back because he won't feel like he actually knows you. So learn to read the context. Is this a moment for intrigue and challenge, or is this a moment for authenticity and vulnerability? Both have their place. Using the right communication style at the right time is what makes you truly magnetic. Mistake 3, following up too quickly and killing the tension. You send the perfect text using one of these words. You create curiosity, challenge, and intrigue. And then 30 seconds later, you send 3 more messages explaining what you meant, softening the impact, or making sure he's not upset. And just like that, you've destroyed everything you built. The power of these words is in the tension they create. That tension needs time to work on his brain. When you immediately follow up and resolve the tension yourself, you're doing his brain's work for him. Let me give you an example. You text, "Maybe I'll come to that party unless something better comes up." Perfect. You've created uncertainty and a playful challenge. But then 30 seconds later, you text, "Just kidding, I'll probably be there. I just have a lot going on this weekend, but I definitely want to see you, so I'll make it work." You just handed him complete certainty and removed all the intrigue. The first text made him wonder if he was the priority. The second text told him he absolutely is. The tension is gone. When you use these 5 words, let them breathe. Let him sit with the uncertainty for a while. Let his brain do the work of trying to figure out what you meant, whether he needs to respond, what he should say. This might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to over-explaining or managing other people's feelings. You might worry that he's upset or confused. But remember, a little confusion and uncertainty is exactly what creates attraction. You're not being cruel. You're giving his pursuit-oriented brain something to chase. So after you send a strategic text, put your phone down, go do something else. Let at least a few hours pass before you check his response. And when you do respond, don't apologize for or explain away the tension you created. Trust the process. The tension is working. Mistake 4, using them when he's already chasing hard. These words are tools for creating or maintaining attraction. They're for situations where his interest seems to be cooling, where things are feeling too comfortable, or where you want to shift from being pursued to being the one pursued. They are not necessary when he's already doing everything right. If he's already texting you first every day, making concrete plans, showing consistent interest, and treating you like a priority, you don't need to create more challenge and uncertainty. You're already getting the behavior you want. In fact, using these strategic words when he's already chasing hard can backfire. It can make you seem like you're never satisfied, like nothing he does is good enough, or like you're intentionally creating problems where none exist. When a man is genuinely invested and showing it through his actions, the appropriate response is to receive that investment warmly. Be direct, be appreciative, be present. Save maybe, hone less, bet, wonder, and might for when you actually need to course correct the dynamic. If he starts getting too comfortable and his effort drops, That's when you reintroduce some mystery and challenge. If you're in a long-term relationship and things are feeling stale, that's when you use these words to recreate some of the early excitement. But if everything is going well, don't create problems just to have something to solve. The goal isn't to keep him in a constant state of uncertainty and challenge. The goal is to prevent him from taking you for granted while also rewarding genuine investment with warmth and presence. Balance is everything. These words are one tool in your toolkit. Use them when they're needed, not just because you know they work. Mistake 5, wrong energy and tone behind the words. This might be the most important point of all. The words themselves don't create attraction. The energy behind the words creates attraction. You can say, I bet you're not even thinking about me, with playful, flirty energy, and it's intriguing. You can say the exact same words with insecure, bitter energy, and it's a turn off. The difference isn't the words, it's what's behind them. These 5 words work when they come from a place of confidence, self-worth, and genuine playfulness. They work when you're a woman who knows her value, has options, and is genuinely enjoying the dance of attraction. They don't work when they come from fear, insecurity, or a need to control his behavior because you're anxious about where you stand. Before you use any of these words, check in with yourself. Are you feeling playful and confident? Or are you feeling scared and trying to manipulate a specific response? If it's the latter, don't send the text. Work on your own mindset first, because if you're texting from a place of scarcity and fear, he'll feel that energy even through the screen, and it will repel him instead of attract him. These words are most powerful when you genuinely don't need them to work. When you're okay with whatever response you get because you know your worth isn't tied to one man's level of interest. That energy of outcome independence is what makes you truly magnetic. The words are just the vehicle for communicating that energy. So now you have all 5 words, maybe, unless, wonder, mate. 5 simple words that can completely transform how men respond to your texts and how they pursue you. But here's what I need you to understand. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. You can know these words, understand the psychology behind them, and agree that they make sense. But if you don't actually use them, nothing changes. So here's what I want you to do right now. Pick one word, just one. The one that feels most natural to you, or the one that addresses your specific situation. If he's been distant lately, maybe you need to create some uncertainty that reignites his interest. If he's been making lazy plans, maybe you need own less to raise your standards. If things have gotten too serious too fast, maybe you need bet to bring back some playfulness. Choose one word and find a natural way to use it in your next conversation with him. Don't overthink it. Don't try to craft the perfect message. Just let it flow naturally based on what we've talked about. Then pay attention to what happens. Notice how he responds. Notice if his energy shifts. Notice if he starts putting in more effort, asking more questions, or showing more interest. I want you to come back and tell me what happened. Drop a comment below and let me know which word you used and what his response was. Because when you share your success, you inspire other women who are watching this and wondering if it actually works. And if this video helped you, if you finally feel like you understand how to communicate with men in a way that creates attraction instead of killing it, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video where I break down even more psychology behind what makes men obsess over certain women. Turn on notifications because I'm going to be sharing more strategies like this. Techniques that aren't about changing who you are, but about understanding how attraction actually works and communicating in a way that triggers it naturally. Remember, you're not learning to manipulate men. You're learning to speak their emotional language. You're learning to stop accidentally pushing away the very thing you're trying to create. You deserve to be pursued. You deserve to be chased. You deserve to feel valued and prioritized. And now you have the tools to create that dynamic. So go use them and then come back and tell me how it went. I'll be reading every comment.